YouTube people, what is going on? Have you ever submitted an item to a grading company, said, man, this isn't the one that I sent in. I swear. We've all seen the comments on Facebook pages, Instagram posts, YouTube videos. That ding wasn't there when I sent this thing in. That crease wasn't there. This thing wasn't there. Or, worse yet, you send your item in and it disappears. You get the dreaded email back. Oh, we can't find this item that you submitted. We're not sure what happened. And tinfoil hats would come out. And sure enough, they'd say, inside job. Someone inside the company is stealing these things, swapping books. We all roll our eyes and say, sure. Yeah, that's not possible. There has to be so many command and controls in place, so much security at these institutions where we hand them large sums of money to encapsulate our expensive things inside of plastic, and then they put a number on it, and that magically makes it more expensive. And then they send it back to us, and then we argue and defend these companies against the other versions of them across all spaces, cards, comics, whatever. Folks, today we have an inside job. I was tagged on this on the old Twitter machine. Myself and Paul Lesko. Shout out at 35 Auburn on Twitter, who originally saw this, tagged me and Paul Lesko in it, and then I patiently waited for Paul Lesko to do his things. I may or may not have DM'd this to a few people that are not in the card space that would be following Paul Lesko because I figured they would find it interesting. CGC, company of many a scandal lately, recently rocked by the reholder gate on the comic book side or in the comic book world, where people figured out a way to tamper with the case and swap the books out. This seems to be unrelated to that, as the timelines do not match up. The books do not match up. Now we have an inside job, an employee, a CGC comic book grader, and his wife, who also worked at CGC in the eBay authentication department, did some things on the marketing side and going to shows, have allegedly been caught. I mean, hashtag allegedly, air quotes allegedly, stealing our collectibles, printing their own labels because they didn't like the grades they got, swapping books, all of it. All sorts of nonsense going on down there. They filed suit against these people, and that is how it got on the collector's radar. Once the suit was filed, people that do their thing, that watch these things, found it, and then Paul Lesko did his thing, and then every comic book content creator has done their thing. I watched Swaggle House's video on this. I watched Reggie's video on this. I read some stuff on Instagram about this. And it is now circulating like wildfire. It is on the CGC boards. I've seen it in Facebook groups. It's all over the place. So basically what happened, I'm not going to go through the full detail. I will link to Lesko's thread if you are curious, because it goes pretty deep, covers a bunch of different stuff. But essentially that's what was going on. The employee, the grader, who's only worked there for like a year and a half, late 2022 they started, so they wasted no time at all how to break that system, was essentially stealing books off the shelf, putting them on their desk, and then doing all sorts of nonsense with them from there. That's the thing. It's not just one scam they were running. They were stealing books, swapping books, and then here's the best one. When they would steal the book and submit it for grading, if it didn't get a high enough grade, what did they do? Print their own label off at CGC and somehow get it in the holder. I don't know if it was during the grading process, like before it got sonically sealed. I don't know what this person's role was exactly. They say grader, so I don't know what that means. I don't know how they had access to the printing machines and all this other stuff. What the hell kind of operation is going on down there, CGC? How did How did it take this long to catch this? They say it was 23 books that they know of, $26,000 worth of stuff that they know of. The person's not being cooperative, not giving them the full list, basically admitted to it. They're still selling the stuff on the wife's eBay page. It's a wild read to read through. But how does it get this far? How do you not, how are we are paying, and once again, this happened at CGC, but this could go anywhere. I hope the other grading companies, like for cards, comics, whatever collectible you're submitting to these grading companies, how are these things not under lock and key and surveillance 24/7, 365? How does something like this happen? Now we have a whole nother CGC list. We just got a list of 350 books that were potentially tampered with in the other scandal, and now we have this one. And this one, the investigation started on this before the last scandal. So they knew when Matt Nelson did his interview with 99 Newsstand and West Coast Avengers, and all this other stuff was going on with the Reholder scandal, with the Bejeweled Gate, whatever you want to call it. While that was going on, this active investigation was happening as well, because this active investigation started months before that other nonsense came out. Now, based off what I could see, I don't think these are related. I really don't. Maybe they are. I'm sure someone in the comments below will say that they are. This employee started in late 2022. The original Reholder scandal had been going on for years. You can go back and look at the grading submission dates on that stuff and the grading numbers, and that stuff goes back way prior to this person working there. So I don't think these two things were related. But now, the bigger problem here, even if, the Reholder thing, isolated incident, it's just these 350 books, 350 items. Now we got this other thing. It's just these 23 things. It now causes everything to get called into question. If you're floating around social media and you're looking at stuff like right after the Reholder scandal, and now there's this, everyone posts everything is now every little contingent or tinfoil hat theory. They now have something to point to that says it's true. And they're right. Who the hell am I to judge? They're right. It was an inside job for this one. The employees were swapping books. The employees were stealing books. I don't even know anymore. I do not understand how this happens. CGC has had a hell of a last couple months. And the problem is what we've been talking about all along. In the comic book space specifically, we have no competition. You could say CBCS till you're blue in the face. Get real. CBCS has just as many problems, if not more. Let's not forget, CBCS was the company that lost their largest group submitter, like thousands of their books. Just, don't know where they went. Let's not forget, CBCS had people taking comic books home to grade. That's a CBCS thing, along with a host of other nonsense that they've had. And that was just in 2020. I think that was 2022 and 2023. Some of that stuff was. Their parent company is Beckett. Anyone on the sports card side could tell you, Beckett is very far behind in everything. Tech, grading, security, the whole 9 yards. Customer service. They would melt if they got 5% of the submissions that go to CGC on a monthly basis. And then the smaller guys, no one takes those seriously in the comic book space. The space is wide open for someone to come in. At least on the card side, as big of a behemoth as PSA is, we have SGC. We had CGC. I don't know how many people are going to trust them anymore, even though this was a comic book thing. It calls everything into question. If the comic books aren't secure and people are able to steal them off the shelf, are the cards secure? The wife was working in eBay authentication. That means cards. eBay authentication, any raw card goes there. Was that stuff getting swapped out? I don't know. Probably not. But the fact that this now exists causes everything in the question. And for the crowd that's going to say, let's just go back. Raw is war. Go back to the good old days. Monday Night Raw days. We don't need to slab books anymore. That has its all other whole host of problems. You need third-party grading. It needs to be better. It needs to take care of their customers better. It needs to take care of the customers' items better. But in a modern world, we need it. We need it for an e-commerce world. There is a ton of shady nonsense that would go on if all the books were raw. People would be marrying pages. Uninformed buyers wouldn't know what they were buying because they don't know what to look for. It would be the Wild West and not in a good way. So for the whole, let's bring raw back down with all grading companies, you might not want to hear this. The fact is that we need them. The reason why these things are worth a lot of money and that they could be transacted as easy as they can be is because of the third-party grading. It allows you to put a book up on the internet for sale in a CGC 9.8, a PSA 10, BGS 9.5, if it's a trading card, whatever the case might be, and say, this is what this is because the third party said so. It makes that liquidity happen in the marketplace. If everything was raw, it would be a nightmare. I don't know what to say anymore. It was an inside job. It was an inside man, not the Clive Owen Denzel Washington movie. Very good movie, by the way, if you've never seen it. That's what I got. That's all I got for you guys and girls. Inside job. Stealing our stuff while it was supposed to be in one of the safest places it could be. The grading company. That's all I got for you, boys and girls. Catch you on the next one. Peace.